Guys, welcome to the J. Scott Outdoors podcast. This is going to be a fun episode with my friend Jennifer Griego. She actually hosted me on her podcast. I'm going to link up in the show notes of this podcast, her podcast, which is Journeys with Jen. And the Griego family is they're an awesome group of people, awesome family, great friends of mine. I've been on a bunch of hunts with them, and they're just great people. Jennifer is my friend. She's a senior in high school. She has cystic fibrosis, and she has shot 5 sheep. She shot the Grand Slam. She's just an amazing hunter, and she's got a very successful podcast, and I'm honored for her to have me on her podcast, and I want to rerun this episode. And I highly encourage you guys to go check out her podcast. She's doing some great work, interviewing some fun people, and just doing a great job. So let's get right to this episode, guys. I really thank you guys for your support of my podcast. I want to thank the sponsors, GoHunt.com, the optics manager, Cody Nelson, my good friend. I just had him on the last episode. If you guys are looking to purchase any optics, binos, spotting scopes, rifle scopes, tripods, anything to do with glassing, rangefinders, you name it, give Cody a call, 702-847-8747. That's extension 2. You can reach out by email directly to Cody. Go to optics@gohunt.com. I want to thank them for their sponsorship. Also want to remind you guys the Go Hunt Insider. If you go to gohunt.com/JScott, you sign up for the Insider, which is the best Western hunting resource out there. You're going to get a $50 Go Hunt Gear Shop gift card. I want to thank Coues Ultralight Hunting. Coues gear is the gear that I wear on all of my hunts. Routinely, a couple times a week, asking or answering questions on my Instagram account. A lot of people asking questions about different pieces of Coues gear, so make sure to tune into that. But go to kuiu.com, kuiu.com to order and find out more about their great gear. I want to thank them for their sponsorship. Also, phonescope.com, use the JScott19 promo code. You're going to get a 10% discount. That's the digiscoping adapter I use with my iPhone 10. And then Onyx Maps, use JScott19 at onyxmaps.com. Sign up for the phone app. You're going to get 20% discount by using the JScott19 promo code. Use Onyx every day. Use it for hunting, fishing, my real estate business. Got a great private versus public land overlay. It's got aerial, hybrid, topo mode. You can measure lines. You can actually text your buddies points of interest, tracks, roads, anything you've created. Hey, get over here! I've got a buck down. Send them the waypoint by text, and it shares right on their device as well. So go to onyxmaps.com. Use the JScott19 promo code. Save 20%. Guys, this is going to be fun with Jennifer. And her dad, Bob Griego. I highly encourage you to check out her podcast, and God bless you all. Thanks.
Hey guys, welcome back to my podcast. This is Journeys with Jen, and I'm Jennifer Griego. Today I am here again with Jay Scott. It's kind of full circle because I did my first podcast with Jay, and now I'm doing another one with Jay. My dad is here as well, as per usual. So Jay, how is it going? It's been a little bit.
It's going great, Jen. You know, is this the time in the podcast where I get to say that you're my favorite Griego, or should I save that for later?
Whatever you want to say, it's all good, Jay.
I'm sitting right here, so that counts against me. We don't have David or
It's
Timmy out
a
here.
little awkward, isn't it, Bob?
Don't worry, I'm used to cringy moments. I have Jennifer in my life, so.
Wow.
All I do is tune into Instagram to see the next adventure that Jen is on, whether it be gator hunting or elk hunting or releasing podcasts with the who's who in the hunting industry. It's just been a fun time, Jennifer, to watch you just blossom, and your podcast is going great. I've listened to several of them, and it looks like you're having a lot of fun with it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely come a long way since the first one with you, and it's been a ton of fun. I've talked to a bunch of people, and I can't wait to see where it goes. But yeah, it's been a great time so far.
I don't know if you
Go ahead.
I don't know if you happened to catch Russ Jacoby asking who you were on Jennifer's last podcast with him. He's like, Jay who? I don't know Jay.
Jay who? Yeah, old Russ. He's a great guy. Just a buffalo nut. I mean, Russ is one of those guys that he's so smart and he's so detail oriented Most of my interaction with him has been in the sheep woods, and we've, guided in the same units together. We've, worked together on a few sheep hunts, and he's just a phenomenal guy, and I've had him on my podcast. But, Russ is just one of those guys that, is super intelligent, and he doesn't do anything halfway. He just goes all out, and he's just really done an amazing job up there, monitoring those buffalo up on the Kaibab Plateau, and really cut a niche for himself in that market. And super, super great guy, and he's a phenomenal hunter. And it's always fun talking with Russ. I'm sure you guys had a great conversation with him.
Yeah, he's, like you said, he's just so intelligent about so many things. He seemed to know everything that I asked him a question about, and more than I could have ever asked for. And just spending the couple days with him up there that I did, it was so much fun. And especially since I didn't take a nap the whole day I was hunting with him, I learned a lot about like how he deals with the buffalo and takes care of them. And it was just a whole big day. But it was definitely, I learned a lot from him. And again, talking to him on the podcast, I learned a lot as well.
It's amazing how much she can learn when she's awake, Jay.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
You'd think I'd want to stay awake more.
Yeah, and she gets some of it from osmosis. She may be asleep some of the time, but she's still soaking it in.
Exactly.
One of the things, Jen, about Russ that I always love is from a technological standpoint, and I call him, like the tech guru. When it comes to, radios, when it comes to, new cameras, videos, anything that's like techy, he's an engineer. Quad tires, truck tires, like he's already done the full research. So I just say, instead of Googling it, just call Russ and say, Russ, what are the best, handheld radios out there? And he'll be like, okay, this is the one I'm getting. And he goes on and on and on, and he'll send you diagrams. And so use him as a tool because he loves sharing information. But I'm glad you got to spend some time with him. And did you end up getting a buffalo?
I did. I actually got one the first day.
Unreal. Hey, did you have a track record of getting things sometimes on the first day?
Sometimes, yeah. My Coues deer hunt that I went on, end of August, early September, my dad and I hunted 2 weekends, about 5 days, and didn't see a buck. Not even a doe, actually. Man. We didn't see anything. So that was one of the times I did not have that luck. But I have, knock on wood, tended to have a little bit of first day luck.
And a shout out to Seth Mieske. He was awesome with helping us and getting that set up and everything. The Coues deer just didn't cooperate, but he puts, sort of like you were talking about with Russ, he knows the Coues deer in his area by Strawberry and Pine, and he puts water out for them and all that stuff, and he really works very hard at it. It's just sort of tough to predict where they're going to be. So, but that was one of Jennifer needed a little bit of humility. She needed more than a one-day hunt. She got like 4 or 5 days up there without seeing one, so she was kind of due for that.
Yeah, it just makes when you actually get one, those Coues deer can be tough, and it's funny, the late part of August, they can be patternable all summer long. I mean, I'm sure Seth had just pictures and pictures and just, a great pattern. And it seems like right there, right when the archery hunt starts, kind of right there at the end of, third week of August, late part of August, it seems over the years I've just seen them throw the pattern, to the wind, and it becomes very difficult. So I'm sorry you didn't get one, but yeah, Seth is salt of the earth guy. I don't know if Seth told you, but he is one person I know that I can say has been shot, and he was actually he is highway patrol, and got shot in the line of duty, and got shot multiple times, and he's told that story on my podcast, and he guides with us down in Mexico for deer, and been on a lot of sheep hunts with him, and he's just a great guy, just a solid guy for sure.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely great guy. And he did tell us that story. And it's, our whole family, we have a lot of respect for law enforcement officers. They put their lives at risk every day when they go to work, and he was lucky to survive that deal. I think he got shot 4 or 5 times or something.
Yeah, crazy stuff out there.
Yeah, but he was great on that hunt. Like we said, we didn't see anything. He had cameras out, but it happened. And like my dad said, I did need a couple of those hunts to humble me to get instead of getting it the first day. It was.
We got to bring you down a little bit, and you're just floating. You're just floating up there in the clouds, and sometimes we got to just bring you down a little bit. So little did you know, I told Seth, I said, make sure you take them or they're not going to be any deer, because Jen's just been having too much success that we need to drop her down a couple notches. But Jen,
that's right.
What's up with this gator? Because I mean, historically, in the Griego family, Tim is known as the gator killer, and you like blew his gator out of the water, didn't you?
Quite literally, yeah. Yeah, Timmy got his gator when he was 8, and obviously he was known as Gator, has been known as Gators for, I don't even know how, he's 15, so 7 years.
Yeah, that's his nickname, Gator Griego.
Gator, and yeah, so I got the biggest gator in the family. Actually, I beat my dad's by a couple inches. It was 11 foot 8 inches, and it was funny because my dad said that his was like 11.4 or something. And so they measured it, and they go 11.8, and I thought they were kidding. I thought they were just saying that because my dad's was like 11.4 or whatever. And then he goes, "No, seriously." I was like, "Oh my gosh, it was crazy." But yeah, it was
awesome.
We saw a ton of gators. It was a great experience, and it's a different type of hunting because usually, well, especially with the target for me was kind of what is like the hardest thing. It wasn't for us and where we were.
Explain what you mean, the target.
Yeah, like. We saw a bunch of gators, but you have to shoot them not quite in the eye, but like a little bit behind, like right in the brain.
Why is that?
Because let me finish.
Okay.
Because if you don't, and they can go straight underwater, and then you may not be able to find them. You can drag. You can drag the water with like.
So they're in the water. So all that's sticking up is their eye.
Most of the times, yeah. When you shoot them, they're in the water, and a lot of times you'll see pictures of alligators, and when they're in the water, and all you can see is their head and maybe a little bit of their nose. And so you want to aim a little bit behind the eye because that's where the brain is. Obviously, depending on your angle, that's just what you want to hit. And because if you don't hit that, if you hit a little bit low, you hit a little bit back or whatever, they can drop underwater and they can go for a long time. My mom shot hers
swim a long way. Yeah.
A little bit, not quite in the brain, and we lost it. And then they found it a couple days later. It was floating, but they lost the hide because it had died a while ago. So you have to be very precise with your like, very accurate. But usually it's not that long of a shot. Like it's usually around 50 yards probably. So
or less.
Yeah, or less. But when I shot mine, he went straight under, and usually they kind of do like what they call like the wave, and so they'll flip back and kind of throw their hand up, and they kind of call it like the wave because it looks like they're waving goodbye. And mine didn't do that. Mine just dropped straight down, and so they were like, "Crap, like we think you missed." And I was like, "Well, that sucks. I'm never gonna live this one down."
We would never criticize in our family,
No,
Jay.
never.
You know that
Yeah,
if she missed.
Yeah.
No.
Never kick someone while they're down in the Griego clan.
Never. Always lift them up, and then you kick them down, so it's more satisfying for you. No, but so I shot him, and he went straight down, and I was like, crap. And so usually, not to sound like, I don't know, selfish or anything, or not humble, usually if you make a good shot, everyone's high-fiving and cheering. And that did not happen. It was the exact opposite. Everyone was quiet, and they were like, shoot, like we think you missed. And I was like, crap. And they had just shot the gun earlier. The gun was dead on at 50 yards. And I was just sitting there. I was like, oh my gosh, like if I lose this gator, I'm going to be really mad because they knew it was a big gator. And I was like, if I shoot it and I hit it bad and it goes underwater and we don't find it until it's already dead, like what happened to my mom, like this could be terrible. And so they didn't see bubbles when it went under. So like, okay, they didn't think that he went under and swam because they would have seen bubbles. And obviously didn't do the wave. So like they didn't really know what happened. But they were like, okay, let's just drag for him to see maybe he's there. Maybe he's just dead over there. And so what they did was they took fishing rods with like a hook and a weight on it, and they just dragged.
Like a treble hook?
Right?
No, it was just a big single open like saltwater hook.
Okay.
Yeah, and they take it and they dragged. I shot mine in the canal, and they dragged it. They dragged the canal, kind of where I shot him, and luckily he had died, and I shot him pretty much right in the brain, but he just reacted differently than they usually do, and he dropped straight down. And Ron Reboot, I did a podcast with him. He got him first, and with Hoppy.
What's his organization? Who were we hunting with?
Yeah, it was a Wounded Warrior Outdoors hunt. Sadly, I did not get to hunt with any of the Wounded Warriors because they came in today, and I had to leave yesterday. But it was a hunt with them on the land Ron has down there in Florida, and with Hoppy Kempfer. And so they dragged, and Ron's like, okay, I think we got him. And then so Hoppy got his hook in him, and they're bringing him up like, Jen, get the rifle. And I was like, okay, so chances are they're going to bring him up, and I'm going to have to shoot him in the head to finish him off. And so they bring him up, and I was like, this is kind of not how I assumed it would go because he wasn't moving. Wasn't like usually I'm like maybe they're usually like splashing around, and he wasn't moving. I was like, okay, well I think he's dead, but I don't want to assume anything. So they bring him in and like oh my gosh, like this he looks dead, but I shot him again just like kind of to cut the spinal cords to make sure that he was gone. But yeah, he ended up being dead the whole time. Well, yeah, but
Unreal.
it was a roller coaster of emotions for a second. Yeah.
I know what it's like, when you make a shot and you're like, man, I thought it was good, and then it doesn't look like it, and then all of a sudden it is. You're like on a roller coaster of emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there before, so I'm sure you were just elated once you realized, okay, yeah. And so was there some, high fives and such then, or was
there definitely was.
It too late at that point?
No, there definitely was then. And it was kind of like I was steady. I had a good rest. I had it on like the gun claw on a tripod, and I had it back. Like my shoulder had a rest, and I was like, I felt really good. I felt on him. He wasn't moving. I had time to set up, and my dad got it on video actually, and the bullet kind of hit the water. And so I'm like, maybe I hit like maybe an inch low. And
it looked like you were right in line, maybe a little bit in front of him. But I'm sitting there watching it back and forth on my phone going, there's no way that bullet didn't hit him right where she wanted to.
Yeah.
And it turned out that it did. She hit him absolutely perfectly. But he just didn't react like they usually, when you hit him in the brain, they usually flop and wave and that stuff. And hers just went straight down. So
but
it was a perfect shot.
Yeah, but luckily we tried.
What's crazy from my perspective is I'm here in Colorado at the ranch, and I got a picture of your bull that you shot, and then it seemed like 2 days later, then I see a picture of the gator. It probably was, 5 or 6 days or something, but it seemed like it was like, I'm thinking, how in the world did she get from shooting a bull to now she's all the way across the country in Florida, and now she's shot a gator, and both great animals. And I was like, this girl's on fire.
Yeah, these next couple of weeks are crazy busy. But yeah, I got my bull on Sunday night, Sunday night.
Before you finish with your gator, so we thought your gator was about a 10-foot class gator.
Yeah. And
it turned out it was 11'8", so it's one of those definitely not ground shrinkage, but grew quite a bit more than what we thought. And it was just and that's a really old alligator, like maybe 70 years old, something like that.
How old?
Probably about 70.
Oh my goodness, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, I asked Hoppy, or my dad asked Hoppy, like, kind of how old a 12-foot gator would be, and he goes, really, it can be anywhere from like 20 to 80. But usually they grow a foot every year until they're about 7 or 8 foot, and then they don't grow as much, but they get like girthier and like they get bigger, just not longer, and they'll grow another 4 to 6 inches every year, but they usually get bigger. So he was really big and long. And it was great.
Super heavy, giant body wise, real wide tail and everything. Just a real old, end of his life, mature alligator. So
that's awesome. So I know there's already one for sure. There might even be 2 gator mounts in the Griego household. Is this? I don't know if your room's even big enough, Jen.
Yeah, there's my dad has his alligator foam mount. My mom has a skull. Timmy has like the rug over his bed, and then David has a skull. I think I'm honestly not sure. So I'm getting mine a skull, and then I'll get kind of the hide. I'm getting the its back, so with the ridges on it, and then I'll get that tanned, and then I'll probably hang it in my room, or I don't know, maybe my college dorm.
Just the skin. Yeah.
I was just going to say, when you go to college next year, I think you have a birthday coming up, by the way, so happy birthday. But
thank you. Yeah, it's tomorrow.
When you go to college next year, I'm thinking that's a great icebreaker for your roommate. Just have a big gator hide hanging over the over your bed, and be like, yeah, here, my name's Jen. What's your name?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good boy repellent, because when she has like an almost 12-foot alligator head on the table, it kind of lets guys know, be careful.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I've almost earned the Uncle Jay status. So, between her dad and brothers and all that, and then they got to get by Uncle Jay. Jen, you've got a really tall task ahead of you if the dating scene.
Oh, I know. And then I have Eddie, who's like threatened a couple of people who they're like friends, and like in the Wounded Warriors. I'm like, oh my gosh.
There's a gauntlet. People got to run the gauntlet, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Yes, it is.
So talk to Jay about the elk hunt and how you got your tag. And
yeah, well, what I wanted to mention, OA4A, we talked about kind of how I've kind of been on a roll getting animals, especially the last couple of years. I've had a lot of success and a lot of tags through OA4A. But like you mentioned, Jay, I do have a birthday coming up, so I won't be getting as many tags from Outdoor Experience for All because I'll be 18.
You won't be getting any more tags.
Yeah, I won't be getting any tags. So I'll be kind of in the normal realm with you people getting draw tags and stuff like that. But it's cool because I'll be able to hopefully help on the OA4A hunts. But the tag for my elk hunt, thanks to you, Jay, I definitely wouldn't have gotten that tag without you. It was your mom's tag. She drew it and donated it to me. So thank you so much for that. That was an amazing hunt, an amazing animal that I got, and it wouldn't have been for you if I hadn't gotten it.
Well, we can't think of a better place for that tag to go, and, we love your family so much, and we just thought it was a great opportunity with you turning 18 to, get on another great elk hunt, and so I'm glad you made the most of it. Mm-hmm. One of the things I was thinking about that hunt is this year, antler growth was so good across the state in most places, but then we had really dry monsoon rains.
Yep.
And so I was really curious as to how that rut was going to go, and if the elk would break their antlers or what. And then that hunt as well, I think didn't start till like the 4th or something like that of October.
Exactly right.
So I'm just curious, like how did it go? Did you see antler breakage? Were they rutting still very intensely, or was it kind of lackluster? And I've kind of gotten reports all across the state as that it was never a really intense rut, and I think a lot of that is the feed across the state, because it was such a dry monsoon, wasn't great. But I'm curious to hear the report, because I've seen the pictures of your hunt, and your mom got a great bull too, but I haven't really heard the details.
Yeah, well, I want to talk to you about this as well, because in Arizona on the RO ranch, 18B, kind of by Prescott, like you said, the feed wasn't very good because we had a really dry monsoon season. I think Corey Pritchard is the outfitter. I think he said that they got 50% less rain than they usually do. So their monsoon season was really dry. They weren't really rutting hard. I mean, obviously I've only been on like 2 elk hunts in the rut, so I can't really say that much. But based on what Corey was saying, they weren't
had
really
just started
rutting hard.
rutting about a week before your hunt. But one of the things Corey did say was they didn't get the moisture, Jay, that a lot of the parts of the state did. They had good winter moisture. They had pretty weak spring moisture, and they did not have the antler growth that they usually have on an average year there. So it was a lot of the bulls had good bottom ends, good first points, and there were still quite a few with weak tops, sort of, a little better than last year, but not kind of the banner year that we had expected. And Corey was saying it was funny, a lot of the areas around them got rain. The RO just didn't get it. So there were not the abundance of 380 class bulls that there typically are on that ranch. And, they rutted late, but they were rutting pretty good by the time we got there. Lots of broken bulls.
Did you see much breakage or not really, because they really had just started rutting?
Yeah, there was, my mom's bull was broken. Actually, it's kind of funny. I passed up the bull my mom shot twice. I passed it up the first night, and I passed it up the second night, because that ranch usually has really big bulls, so we were like, okay, and we asked Corey, like, is it reasonable to hold out for, we thought this bull was maybe like 260 class, 270s, or 370s, not twos, 360, 370, and my dad's like, is it reasonable to hold out for a 380 plus bull? And he's like, it should be. We've seen a few of them. They had only shot 2 or 3 bulls before we got there, and they had seen bigger ones not often, and they hadn't seen them within the past couple of days, but they knew that they should be there. But my mom's the one she got was broken on the 5th, like on his 4th, and then by the time my mom shot him, which was a couple days after I saw him, he had been broken again. But actually it was surprising the bull I shot wasn't broken at all. So that was it was crazy, since we hadn't seen any non-broken bulls that when like the whole time we were there. But they were running they were starting to break. But yeah, there wasn't that many big ones as we had expected. But luckily I did get a very nice 353 bull. So
the hard thing was, Jay, to tell when they're all broken up which bull it was. If there was a big bull there and suddenly he's got no fourths, and there were several that had 3 or 4 points broken off, and they're unrecognizable as far as if that's one of the big ones you'd seen before. So, and that's kind of typical on that ranch. They usually have a pretty intense rut. There's a lot of cows, and lots of bulls come onto the ranch to it, and they tend to fight really aggressively and break off main beams and all that sort of stuff. So it was kind of hard. There were 3 or 4 bulls they were hoping that Jennifer or Carol could get on, and they didn't see those bulls during their hunt, and we may have seen them, just couldn't recognize them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I faced the same thing. I'm here at the Ot 6 Ranch in Colorado, a ranch that I manage for a private family here, and we had good winter moisture here, and we had a really cold, snowy, kind of like nothing thawed spring, and then we had virtually no summer moisture, and so we're really dry here. But one of the things we noticed is antler growth here was not even as good as last year. Last year was one of the worst droughts in 80 years.
Wow.
But an interesting thing is, I think, and I don't know if this happened on the RO, but even though we had good winter moisture, it stayed so cold so long. I think these bulls here were not on green feed in the spring when they first dropped their antlers and started growing. I think they were still having to fight and compete a little bit for feed and paw a little bit through the snow, and I think that totally reflected in the antlers. Most of our bulls were down. The antler growth was not near as good as even last year. It wasn't as good as 17. So I've been here 3 years now, and this was probably the worst antler growth year. Another interesting thing is our bulls really, really broke up this year. We had pretty good rutting. It started a little bit late, and they're pretty much just finishing now. I mean, a lot of the small bulls and stuff are still trying to chase cows, but our mature bulls here also broke their antlers, fought a lot and really broke up. So, it's interesting how different conditions at different times of the year can, make great antlers, and it can be pockety all over the state. It can, be good in this unit, not good in this unit, and we experienced a little bit of that here. So, Jennifer, your bull that you shot looked like just a beautiful bull. Mm-hmm. Tell me about, had that been a bull that had been seen and you finally decided, let's go after him, or was it one of those that you saw and as soon as you saw him you said, like, that's the one I want, or how did it go down?
It was kind of a race to get that bull. Like I said, I passed up the bull my mom ended up shooting twice, hoping that we would see a bigger one because we saw it the first night and the second night. And so
you're only going to hunt 3 days, right?
Yeah, it was Friday, Saturday night, and I could hunt Monday morning, but the mornings were rough because they were going in the timber so early. We were basically chasing them through the timber in the morning, so it was really hard to get on them. So we wanted to get it Sunday night because Monday morning we assumed if I had to shoot one, it would be one that I wouldn't want to shoot, like a small bull. So it was Sunday night, and we were just driving around. We had, I think, like 5 people on different knobs looking for us, and it was around 6 o'clock, and it gets like dark at 6:37, and we were trying to see if anyone had seen anything, and one of the guys had seen a couple of 350 class bulls, and we were like, okay, can we get on them? And then we were relaying through the people because we were so far that the cook Trina was looking for us, and she found a bull, and she said it looks nice, it looks like 350's bull, and he wasn't broken, and he would be easy to get to. So we went over to where she was, and he was 1,000 yards off the road. So we get out and we head out, and I didn't know how big he was. I didn't ask how big he was.
And we probably had about 8 minutes of light left.
Yeah, and I was like, I just didn't want to know. I knew he was probably smaller than my goal and probably smaller than the one that I had passed up, but like he was still a really nice bull, so I wasn't mad about it. I'm very satisfied and very happy with the bull that I got. But I just knew that it was game time. We had, like my dad said, a couple minutes of light left. We had to haul it over there to get a good shot at him. And so we got 500 yards from him. And Corey goes, okay, you can shoot here from 500, or we can go down kind of this little wash thing and maybe try to get at 200 yards. And I was like, I'm comfortable with this shot. We don't really have time to go try and get a 200-yard shot. Like, we'll do it here. So my dad threw his pack down.
And they were starting to leave, too. I mean,
yeah.
To try to get closer, it would have been tough. They would have been moving off pretty quickly, and they were in an open area, so we just got Jennifer set up.
Yeah. So my dad threw his pack down. I put my gun on it. and he was quartering really hard away and barely a little bit to his left. So my first shot wasn't that, it dropped him. It was a spine shot, so I wasn't happy that I hit him in the spine, but luckily I did.
Well, let's be honest. So you shot at 500 yards.
Yeah.
And he just dropped completely. He just was done.
Yeah, that was one of those high five moments.
Yeah. I mean, Jennifer put another round in, and she goes, "Where is he?" I go, "He's on the ground. He's done."
Yeah.
And
I mean, it was.
Awesome.
I'm glad I was able to make that shot, especially with the angle I had and the whole situation. But yeah. So we ended up. We got to him. There wasn't. Obviously the pictures were what Jay mentioned, that we got some nice pictures. I had to edit those a little bit because it was pretty much dark by the time I got those. But yeah, luckily I was able to get to him.
Your mom can believe it because we hauled over there to get you set up, and you got prone, and I told you what to dial your scope to as I ranged it, and you just laid down. It's like as soon as he turns a little bit, and we cow called, he just turned a tiny bit, and she squeezed the trigger, and great follow through, and that bull just dropped straight to the ground. And Carol's like, "Oh my gosh, how does she do that?" Carol's
That's my girl.
That's right. Carol's like, I hope I don't have to do it like that. Do I have to hurry like that and get a shot at 500 yards?
Was Carol able to go right there with you, or did she stay back and watch, or what did she do?
She was right there with us pretty much every stop we went on. She was right there with us. Yeah.
So Jennifer's hunts Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday. She was the one hunting. Carol wasn't. We were going to wait till Jennifer was done. So we were all three together for Jennifer's hunt, and then Carol started the next day. But it was fun to be able to do it as a family, and then Jennifer had to get back to Phoenix to go to school the next day. So.
Yeah.
What about Timmy? Was he there?
No.
Nope, the boys weren't there. David wasn't back from Creighton yet, and Timmy had school. So, and Jennifer wasn't out of school either. I mean, she wasn't on break. She will be starting next week. But so she played hooky for a day.
And 2 days this week, but it's fine.
I pretty much believe school's overrated. Sorry, Bob. But,
it definitely is for the Griegos.
A grade elk hunt is worth way more than any day at school.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I don't think you remember what you learned in chemistry or math as much as you remember what you learned on the elk hunt or your experience. It doesn't get indelibly plastered into your brain like a hunting experience. I agree.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, Jen, you shot 5 sheep, if my math is correct.
Yes.
And you've had some pretty intense hunts. Was the elk hunt as intense? Did you feel that same feeling, with it cutting down to the wire on Sunday? Was it one of those things where you had the juices flowing, or were you able to stay, fairly calm and just get over there and get it done? What was it like?
It was stressful, to say the least.
Okay.
Especially hearing on the radio and talking to Corey and my dad, sitting there in the car, kind of like, well, what do we do at this point? We have we have a few options, but we can only make one choice because we don't have enough daylight to try another option. And so it obviously, hyping up to this hunt, we thought the antler growth was going to be really good, so I was really excited for this hunt, and I was really excited to hopefully get a really nice bull, which I did get a really nice bull, but hoping to get like a large bull, especially for that ranch and the growth on that ranch. But it was very stressful, and I was worried, honestly, that I was going to have to shoot a small bull because I was like, what if I don't get one tonight? What happens? And so I was very worried and I was stressed, but luckily, and I definitely had to say, I was definitely praying a lot. And I had crossed from, and I just went on like a school retreat that was very spiritual, so I was very kind of in like that God had set, and I definitely was praying a lot, and I don't pray a lot on my hunts, and it was definitely one of the hunts that I prayed a lot on, and I definitely am thankful to the Lord for that, for getting me that bull. It was kind of, I was praying that he would like reveal to us a bull that I would be able to shoot, and kind of after I started saying that, we got the call from Trina that she had a bull that we could go get after, and that it was close to the road, and it was the whole hunt, like the stalks we went on were maybe mile-long stalks. They were hard, and that one, he was right off the road. Obviously, I didn't shoot him from the road. We had to walk in a little bit, but it was kind of one of the easier stalks, and it came at just enough time to where I had enough light to shoot him. So it was kind of one of those things that I was like calling like a God thing. But I was definitely stressed. But I'm very thankful that I was able to make the shot that I did. But like my sheep hunts, none of them had really been that rushed, that down to the wire, except for maybe my desert sheep that probably was. Oh, and my fourth sheep, my fan ram, because we had hiked for miles to get that ram, and I shot him semi-prone, like honestly not even prone. It was kind of laying parallel to the, like against the mountain, but kind of sideways. So that, I think that shot was one of the most, it was also those two are my top 3 longest shots. So it was, both of those were very stressful moments. But luckily I was able to make good shots on all of those. But definitely this elk hunt kind of goes up there with the more stressful shots because we were down to the wire, running out of daylight, and on the last day. So it was definitely one of the most stressful ones. But my final sheep probably goes up with that. But we weren't racing the clock of like daylight on my last sheep hunt. It was just kind of, we were far and we had a rough setup, and obviously it was a Fannin ram, so this is like one of the only rams I could shoot. We didn't know where they were going to be the next day. But yeah, those were definitely some of my top 2 stressful shots that I've had.
It was a great shot too, Jen.
Oh, my mom's here. She
Hi,
just
Jay.
joined.
Hi, Carol. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Now I guess I can say my second favorite Griego's now on the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Because I've already said Jennifer's my favorite, and Bob said that was a little awkward.
That's okay. We
He's
have
like, "Jay,
favorites.
I'm sitting right here. You're taking favorites, and I'm sitting right here."
Yeah, Bob can handle that. Plus, we always say we have favorites in our family. We have 3 children, and we say one of you are our favorite. I'll let you guys figure that out. Say hi to Jean for me.
I'll do it, and it sounds like you got a nice bull as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I was just walked into Jennifer's conversation about her hunts being stressful. The shot she made was incredible. I mean, it was far, and that was one element. The other element was that, I'm sure, I don't want to repeat it, but the angle was just like, oh my God, when is she going to take that shot? Because it just was never quartering, away. And so I was like, oh my God. And when it went down, I was like, that is awesome. So it was.
For just a drop like that, it's incredible. And I'm sure you were like, that's my girl.
Oh my God. I was like,
that.
that is a stud. And I've always told the kids, Jennifer especially, that when I go on a hunt, I like to be with them to watch them do it, because I kind of I take from their lead, it's like, okay. So I always, usually Jennifer's very calm, and so are the boys. So it's really fun for me to kind of watch them do it, and then I try to mimic them. So on our hunt, I don't think Bob probably already mentioned that a lot of the bulls weren't around. There just weren't big bulls around. So after Jennifer left, and it was exciting, and off she went, and then Bob and I had the rest of the hunt to do, and we had 3 days, and we didn't see anything. The next day, and then the next day, it's like, okay, we have one last day. And here I'm like, you know what, any bull will do. And Bob's like, no.
Bob was saying stay the course on a big one. It looks like you got a good one.
Yeah, she did. She definitely
got
a nice bull. The reason I held out on that bull was because he had amazing tops, but his fronts were a little bit short. But obviously, he was still an amazing bull. And I told my mom after I shot mine, I'm like, okay, Mom, now you have to get this bull for me, because I wasn't able to get it. And it was funny. I got the text of the picture of my mom's bull in the middle. Well, not in the middle of class, because that would be irresponsible of me to have my phone out in the middle of class.
You wouldn't have your phone on, would you?
No, of course not.
It was right at the beginning of class, and before the bell rung, and I had put my phone away, but I checked my watch, because I have the Apple Watch, and it showed the picture of my mom's bull, and I was like, oh my gosh! And so I ran to get my phone, and I had the picture, and I showed my friend who was standing above me, and he told me when I got my bull, he's like, man, Jen, your bull is huge. And so I'm like, dude, look at the bull my mom just got, and he goes, he cussed me, he's like, holy beep, I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
Jen, you just got passed up by your mom. And I was like, I know, I definitely did. But I'm glad that if anyone were to pass me up, I'm glad it was my mom.
Yeah, I got the orders from Jen. Go get that one. And But Bob and I and Corey were on another bull that was supposed to be the biggest one on the ranch. And I was like, oh, he's a 7x7. Hardly anyone's been seeing him. He's cagey. He goes in and out of the junipers, and then he's never with any cows. And so we had a couple people spotting for us, and Trina saw it, and she's like, oh my gosh, you guys, he's right there. So we stalked up on him, and we were about 100 yards away, and I was like, Bob is setting up the shooting sticks, and he's okay, put a round in it. And I said, okay. And I'm behind them, and I try to put the round in, and it wouldn't close. The bolt wouldn't close. And I'm like, Bob. He's like, what? I said, get over here. Try to get this to close. And we still couldn't see the bull because he was behind the junipers. And Trina was in Corey's ear saying, okay, he's looking right at you guys. He's looking right at you guys. I don't know if you guys are calling or what, but he knows you're there. And we were so Bob came back, tried to get the bolt to close. It wouldn't. And then Corey comes back and tries to get the bolt to close. By then,
There was a lot of clanking. We had
Yes.
to empty the
Oh,
magazine.
no.
We had to take the bolt out. I think a little
Oh,
piece of
my
copper had fouled the tracks for the bolt, and we could not get it to close. And finally, we were able to get it to close. And called, and the bull started coming in. It came in like 10 yards further, and it was only about 120 yards from us. But I don't know if the wind swirled or if he just heard enough clanking and he took off. So we never really saw him very well. And after that, it was a drought for 2 days.
yeah, that
We
was
didn't see
Tuesday,
any
and
other
then
shooter
absolutely
bulls.
nothing on Wednesday. And we were leaving Thursday, so the pressure was on to find something on Thursday. And we kind of knew where Jennifer's bull was that she passed up, so we go, well, let's go find that guy. So we did, and it was a, Monty Python, stop, set up, for 5 miles. Corey was just like, okay, don't bring your backpack, don't bring any water. He's 100 yards ahead. We're going to just take this shot and be
Yeah,
done with
Because
it.
when
he
they
was
first
fine.
saw him, they were just a little bit off the road, and so Corey's like, all right, we'll just go 100 yards and we'll shoot from
that.
not far from the
Yeah,
truck.
he was 500 yards away from us. We thought we'd get within 400, make a shot. Then the wind was blowing right at him and took off. And we ran for 5 miles. It was like a 2-hour deal
Stalk.
to try to catch up to him.
But a stock on steroids, because it was like, and you know how Corey is. I mean, he's got long legs, long strides, and we had to kind of be quiet. So look where you're stepping, and there's cactus and rocks, and it's like,
And there's
oh my
lava
God.
rocks. The terrain is terrible, especially we have to walk fast on.
Rattlesnake.
Yep. And also there was Corey, then Bob, then me, and so Bob had the shooting sticks, I had the gun. So it's like, I know eventually, every stop we made, the bull would make it between junipers and open up, and then I'd finally get up to them, get the shooting stick set up. I put the rifle on there, got the crosshairs on, gone.
And there were 20 cows, so there were many times you couldn't shoot because he wasn't clear.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it was unbelievable, and I was, winded, and I was like, oh my gosh. So finally,
And especially hard to take that shot when you're trying to catch your breath and you can't calm down. You
yes.
can't lower your movement enough. And especially on shooting sticks, you're not the most stable.
Yeah, and I've kind of been
And
spoiled.
Bob probably saying, shoot him, shoot him, shoot him.
I know. Well, Bob's, got us pretty spoiled because it's like sets it all up so that the gun's not moving, and so I really didn't factor that in when every time I put the rifle on the shooting sticks, I'd look and then I'd have to move again and run to the next time. So when we finally came to the shot,
And Jay, by the way, I'm not telling her the range, but it's 600 yards. And it's like, do you feel comfortable?
You don't want her to really know, probably.
and I did
I'm
ask at
adjusting
first.
the turret. I'm like, do you feel comfortable? No. Okay, then don't take it. But no elbow support shooting off of shooting sticks, and especially after you've been running for literally 2 hours, out of breath and getting tired, it's difficult to get set up and make a good shot standing. It's one thing to get prone, but go ahead, Carol. So tell them how you finally got your chance.
So the cows cleared, so there was a shot, and he was quartering away, so it was a good shot,
But
good
they
position.
finally stopped at a water hole because it
Yeah.
was the last water before they were dropping into a canyon. So that slowed them down, and we were able to get.
But they
close
didn't
enough.
see us because he's moving around, so he was still moving kind of slowly. But I took the shot, and I was way off, way back on the back left thigh, or the hip area, and I'm like, dang! And so I get back on it right away.
And this is 375 yards, by the way.
And he finally stopped because he didn't go down at all, but you could tell the leg was
You could tell it was
injured.
hurt.
So he stood to the side, perfect shot. All I had to do is just take my time. Now at this point, I'm still winded. I'm still breathing. And crosshairs are going up and down and up and down. I'm trying to hold my breath, and finally, but he stood still enough for me to take the shot. And then he went down, and I was a little off
Just dropped
again.
him. Perfect.
But I was so relieved. I was like, because I said to myself, if this guy gets out, after having 1 or 2 shots in him, I was just going to be so devastated. So I was like, please, dear Lord, let me get this one. And when
Now,
it went
Carol,
down,
was that your first elk?
first bull.
Not a kid.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So So anyway, it was a story for each of us. It was really fun.
Yeah,
we earned
pressure
that one.
shots. But
Pressure shots.
Yeah, Mom made a good shot, and luckily we've been trained well by my father.
Yeah.
Can't tell him that too much or he gets a little cocky, but we were trained well and we
His
made
head
good
gets a little
shots.
big.
Yeah. But
So
it's
what are we
true.
doing with the bulls? Are we doing European mounts? Are we doing full mounts? What are we doing?
Shoulder mounts.
Shoulders?
Shoulder mounts, and you would
Where?
love the main beams on Carol's J, 58.5-inch main beams.
Wow. Yeah, it looked like you had really good beams. Now, are you going to repair a couple of those points, or are you going to leave them as is?
We're going to repair them. You know, they have pictures and video of that bull a couple weeks before intact. So
Yeah, so he was a 363, and Jen's was a...
with about 20 inches broken off. So he's like a 383 bull if he hadn't broken off the point, you know, the inches off his fourth. So
wow,
spectacular bull.
And Jennifer's was good, 355 or something.
353.
Yeah.
And Jay, you're familiar with the bet that Jennifer and
no,
Timmy had before?
No.
The
We
Sharpie
didn't shake
bet?
on it. We didn't shake on it,
Yeah,
right,
we didn't
Jen?
shake on it. There is no bet.
So they had the
It
same
was
bet.
merely spoken of.
We should do that on the podcast, right? Loser on your forehead with Sharpie. Your mom gets to do it.
I just showered.
Yes.
No.
But
Mom's
who are
too
the
kind.
witnesses to this bet? That's what I want to know.
Exactly. Dad is the only witness.
I'm the witness.
And he goes, you guys should make the bet. And we were like,
no.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And then he goes, you guys are going to make the bet. And we were like, we never agreed to it, never shook on it. It was never official.
I'm pretty sure that if your mom had lost, you'd be saying that it was already agreed upon.
My mother. I would not write loser on my mother's head. I would
Thank
write
you,
loser
Jen.
on your head
Oh
and
my
David and
gosh.
Timmy's, but not my mother.
See, I gave her life, so I guess I get a little couple bonus points.
Yeah, she would do it to you, Bob, but not her mother.
She would
made that
tattoo it.
really,
If I ever
really
fell
clear.
asleep in her presence, I'd wake up with one of those, neck tattoo type things right across my forehead.
Yep.
Permanent.
But I want to thank you,
sure.
Jay, for I follow you on Instagram, so it's always great seeing the stuff that you post on there, because all the big elk that you post on there, it's helpful for me to kind of gauge, because I'm not used to seeing a whole ton of bulls. And
That's what she did to study for this. I told her to
Yeah,
look
that's
at
what I did. I
pictures and
watched a couple.
videos for trying to field judge them, and she's like, "Well, I was on Jay's Instagram and listened to his podcast." And
Yeah, I
Oh,
watched
it
a couple.
was
of,
awesome.
I looked up like elk scoring videos on YouTube, and like the first 15 that pulled up were all Jay Scott. I was like, okay.
Imagine that, huh?
yeah, you're...
Well, I appreciate that. I do have I have several questions. How is my buddy Bandit Griego doing?
He's doing good. In
He
fact,
misses you.
He roams around, and I'm thinking, what's wrong with Bandit? I think he's waiting for Jay to come back.
Mrs. J, yeah.
So I think he misses Jay.
Bandit is our
He's a-
wirehead pointing griffon.
He's
Yep.
a little sad and a little depressed that he hasn't seen me in a while.
He hasn't seen Jay. So when you guys come over, you'll be like, "There's my long lost buddy,
Yeah.
Jay."
Yeah. You know what's funny? We were walking this summer. We were walking in Aspen, and there's like some trails out of there, and here coming down the trail, I swear it's Bandit Griego
Yeah.
dragging this lady, and I'm like, unbelievable. I stopped the lady. I wanted to pet him and
Yep.
everything, and it was like, there is Bandit. I mean, it looked exactly
Yep.
like your dog. It was amazing.
Isn't it
Yeah.
funny? Yeah, the breed is so funny. So they're like duplicated. Like they're like totally carbon copies of each one of them. Every dog you see, like there it is. There
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, Bandit's cutie.
Yeah, I would say to the people, what kind of dog is it?
Wire-haired pointing griffon.
Yeah, so I would tell people if you haven't seen one, I mean, I'm not saying that they're the most strikingly beautiful dog, but they
Mhm.
really get under your skin. Like all of a sudden, you're just like, that's the coolest dog I've ever seen.
Yeah.
When you first look at him, you're like, that's kind of a strange looking
Exactly.
dog. And then all of a sudden, he just wears on you and becomes your favorite. So I'm excited to see him. Gene and I will be home here probably within a couple weeks, like 10
awesome.
days, and we have to get together and
For sure.
come by and see those elk and
Your new house,
some of
right?
the
Are you gonna
gator
be?
park.
Will you be going?
Yep,
Oh, nice.
Yep, in the new house. So we're excited, and
That's
we'll be
awesome.
not neighbors, but pretty darn close.
Oh, I'm
awesome.
excited. I'm excited. That's
Awesome.
awesome.
Well, we miss not having you in the guest house, though. It's not been the same.
No, it really
Yeah,
hasn't.
we really enjoyed our time there for sure. It was super fun. The game nights and all of the fun stuff. So. And Tim, it looked like, did he get injured or something? It looked like I saw a shoulder in a cast or something.
Yeah, he had elbow surgery. He injured it in baseball, and then after a couple years, he quit baseball, but with football, with weight training and stuff like that, he made it worse. And I'll have the doctors elaborate on it because I can only speak to the normal people level. But yeah, he had surgery, and they had to take out like bone and cartilage fragments in the socket. Yeah.
Yep, that's
Doctor.
Yeah, it was
good.
wild,
On
Jay.
it.
So he had a little bit of trouble with it.
Which arm?
His right
Right.
arm.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they did an X-ray and they saw these bone and calcified cartilage fragments in there, like a centimeter diameter, like the diameter of your little finger. These balls in there. He had 6 of them inside the joint. And the orthopedic surgeon Gary Wazlewski, who does the Cardinals and the D-backs and the Coyotes and the Suns, he looked at the MRI and goes, "Man, that's a really nasty looking injury." And so he did it with a scope and took out the pieces of cartilage and had to grind down about an inch diameter area at the end of the humerus in the elbow, your upper arm bone, because the bone was dead. And he told us that was like the worst one he's ever seen. And so Timmy's all proud of how tough he is that he had the worst elbow injury with that chronic issue that he'd seen. And I said, Timmy, you don't want to brag about having the worst injury the doctor sees. That shouldn't be like one of your big talking points that I had the worst problem the doctor ever had to deal with. So
knowing Timmy, it was probably like, man, my shoulder really hurts, guys, and the two Dr. Griegos were like, you're fine, take a couple
I know.
Geez, guys, my shoulder, it really hurts. You're fine, just take a little couple Advil, and then the next thing he knows, he's in surgery saying it's the worst one the guy's seen. Is he going to have full recovery, or what's the status?
He should, hopefully.
Yeah, he should. He's supposed to give it 6 months of new bone growth. And
Yeah,
that's the problem, is not being able to put any weight on it. So no pushing, no pulling, no nothing, just normal range of motion. So
Yeah, and knowing Timmy, he loves to do everything
Yeah.
that pushes his elbow to its limits. And the main issue he had was he didn't feel the pain.
yeah.
So it made it hard because he couldn't feel pain, and even now it doesn't really hurt to move it, so it makes it hard for him to not move
and I told
it.
Timmy, no sense, no feeling. I think that's why he couldn't feel the pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, if he stays off of it, like obviously, it's hard for him to stay off of it. He can't fish. He
I
can't
was
shoot
gonna
his
say,
bow.
he can't cast, he can't cast, he can't shoot his bow, he can't do anything.
no.
He can shoot a rifle though, and he's got 3 tags coming up at the end of the year that he'll be able to hunt with, but he can't shoot a bow or ride a bike or do anything that puts pressure on it till February.
You can't even ride a bike.
No, because his body weight on the arms, on the hands.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And obviously no football. I'm sure he's bummed about that.
Oh,
But
he's
I'm not-
devastated.
I'm not real high on football anyway, so that doesn't. I just hate seeing anybody get hurt.
Yeah.
Playing football. But
Yeah, well, he loves football so much; it's his burning passion. So he still goes to practices and
Yep,
like does leg stuff and
5:30 in the
runs.
morning, he joins the team. He's
He-
helping him out.
He goes to the
Attaboy.
varsity games just to help out in the box or on the field. Like he lives and breathes football, and I feel bad that kid can't do it because he
I know.
loves it so much. But hopefully he'll be okay. Hopefully he'll fully recover and be able to do it again. But
Yeah, next season he should be in and good to go. So-
yeah, luckily, like I told him, luckily it's his sophomore year. He already played freshman year, so the coaches kind of know it's not his junior or senior year. If it was his senior year, I would feel absolutely terrible because if he couldn't play a senior year, he would probably be so sad about it. But
Yeah.
luckily, it's his sophomore year. He's able to still work with the team. The coaches love him, like everyone loves Timmy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he still definitely puts in the effort to the football team, even though he's not on the field with them.
that's good for him. That's great that he's still doing that and still has the discipline to stay out there and help the team any way he can. So that's really cool. And tell him if his shoulder isn't ready that we can chase those turkeys with a machete. And,
Yeah.
he can use his left hand, and we'll try and lay in the weeds and use a machete on him.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that Gould's turkey hunt with you next spring. That'll
Either
be
that or just
Yeah.
going, or he loves to run and chase and tackle them. So let's see if
Yeah, you can just
now
do
that he's
that.
working his
Yeah.
legs, maybe he'll get
We'll
faster.
wring their neck.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, it's awesome catching up with the three of you.
Yeah. you
And
too.
and Jay, earlier you mentioned Jennifer has a birthday coming up tomorrow. She turns 18, which is a huge
Congratulations.
milestone
Yeah.
with cystic fibrosis and everything, and we're so blessed with the advances in the medications, and she's doing very well, and a big part of the advances come from generosity, and
Yeah.
you and Jean were tremendously generous with a big donation to the CF Foundation this winter, and I wanted to give you a shout out for your generosity and kindness for your listeners, that they know you're a good hunter, a great outdoorsman, and a great podcast host. You're also a great person, a very generous guy, and a religious person, a great American, and we're very grateful for what you've done for cystic fibrosis research and your friendship and all you've done for us. So thank you.
Well, yeah, we're just happy to do it. And, I always say, people ask me on my Instagram, who's your hero? I always say Jen Griego. And we're just happy to see her flourish and do as great as she's done. And Jen, how are you feeling? How are your different levels? And, how are you doing?
Good, yeah. I'm on the clinical trial that I've been on for, I think, a year.
Exactly a year.
Yeah,
This
exactly a
month.
year this month. I've been on this drug. It's helped my lung function tremendously. It's brought me from 65 to 78%.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's helped a ton, and that's even without me working out. So when I start training, I'm gonna hike the Grand Canyon in March. So when I start really training for that, my lung function will hopefully go up even more. And it's definitely helped a lot, especially on the elk hunt that I went on last weekend. I was keeping up with the guy, and like my mom said, Corey has super long legs, and that guy just goes.
Jennifer was right behind him, totally got caught,
Good.
kept
And that was
up
a
with him.
fast-paced, another
Yep.
5 or 6 mile hike.
Yep,
And we were like, man, she's right there, not out of breath, and
yep.
just did great.
Yeah, so it's definitely helped a lot with everything. So yeah, hopefully only continue to get better. Hopefully it's the drug I'm on is hopefully will be approved by the FDA to help so many other people with CF because it's helped me so much. It's helped other people in the trial so much. But yeah, it's definitely done really well for me. I've been doing better. And I, like I said, will hike the Grand Canyon in March, so hopefully it will help me stay in shape for that. And like my dad says, when I start training, hopefully my lung function will go up maybe into the 80s, which it hasn't been up there in
Yep, since you were a little kid.
since I was really young. So
Yeah, and this drug, in probably in the early spring, we hope that this drug will go to the FDA and get final approval because this drug will then be eligible for almost 90% of, even more than 90% of the CF patient population will be eligible and benefit from this drug. So it's a huge groundbreaking milestone for the CF population.
Fantastic.
So it's been it's long awaited for many people. Many of the CF adults that have severe lung disease are just begging for this drug. So we're all very grateful and just hope it's going to be here soon. So everybody needs it.
Awesome. That's fantastic to hear. And Jen, I know with your birthday coming tomorrow, happy birthday,
Thank
turning
you.
18. And I know you're a senior in high school and
Yep.
you've got college on your plate. I don't want to push you anyway, but ASU, and I will say that I wasn't disappointed. I think the Wildcats lost last weekend, so I was excited to see that. And,
And Devils are
I don't
5-1.
wanna push you in any one direction, Jen, but ASU.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
And
awesome.
you've got some exciting stuff in front of you, and it's been awesome to hear all the different podcasts and see you flourish with your podcast. So my hat's off to you for having some great hunts and
Thank you.
just really going above and beyond on the podcast and providing value and having some great guests. And I think you've really found a niche, and you're really good at it. And just want to congratulate you on all your success.
Well, thank you, and thank you for everything you've done to help me get into the podcast, to tell me what to get, help me learn how to edit and everything like that. You definitely have helped me so much.
You've been a great mentor.
Yeah,
for her.
Absolutely.
Well, I would say, when you say help you how to edit, that's a little bit of a misspoken word, because I showed you about 3 different things, and then within the first day you were showing me things like, this is a shortcut how to do that, and I was like, oh, okay. And so you're a whiz at that. So, and when does tennis start up now? That's a spring sport, right?
Yeah, so at our school we have a class, so our last period of the day will be tennis, so we don't have to miss as much school. So I'll start conditioning with my team in January, and then tryouts are the first week of February. So it's coming up pretty fast, yeah.
Good.
Yep, I'm excited. Hopefully, I've been training,
team.
so
Yeah.
it'll be a good team this year. So hopefully, we lost our number 3, 4, and 5 because they were seniors. So I've been working hard to hopefully make varsity and play a lot this year. But yeah, I'm excited to see where the team goes. We're supposed to have some good freshmen, so yeah, I'm really excited for it.
That's super awesome. I'm excited for that. When does the Griego Cross get lit up? When is the inauguration day for the cross behind the house going up?
That's a
Pretty
great question.
soon.
We have to put it up here. Gosh, I get so busy,
Is
and
that Thanksgiving? Or?
we usually light it Thanksgiving weekend, where we have to go up and rebuild it. It's 100 feet tall
rebuild the
and 50
lights,
feet
Restring
across.
it, yeah.
So we have to restring the lights every year, and gosh, I guess we'll do it maybe the week of Halloween.
Yeah,
So
Awesome.
yeah, but it'll be
For
on.
those of you that are
Thanksgiving.
listening, the Griegos just do an awesome thing. They have a ginormous cross that's lit up. It's ground level, but they kind of live on the side of a mountain, and you can just see it from, all over the parts of the valley. You can just see this giant cross, and it's just a testimony to their faith and the courage, just to do that in this day and age, and is awesome. I know when Gene and I stayed there last winter, we were fortunate to stay in the Griego guest house there, and it was so cool, being able to drive home at night and see that cross from miles around. And You guys, your family, you let your light shine, and I'm super proud that you guys are my friends. And like I said, it's been fun watching Jen just really flourish with this podcast, and I can't wait to see where it goes. And I'm excited to see you guys when we get back here in under 2 weeks. So
Awesome. Yeah, we'll
super
definitely
fun.
get together.
You guys having me on.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
have you
can't
over. We'll
wait.
cook up some gator and some tenderloins, and it'll be awesome. We look forward to seeing your place. Maybe we can play tennis on there. Doesn't your new place have a tennis court?
Yes, it does.
All right.
All right.
Absolutely. That sounds like a great time.
I have to
for
have
sure.
mixed doubles or something.
Oh my
I gotta
gosh.
freshen up. Yikes.
David's actually surprisingly good. We were out on the
Yes.
court with
I'll
him.
bet he is.
He can still hit the ball. Timmy tried, but
David's good at everything. There's
He
nothing
is.
David isn't good at.
I'm glad he's not
Okay.
here to hear that.
He wouldn't be able to get through the door. if Ted was so big.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jay. I know you're out on, like you said, the Odd Six Ranch, out there hunting. So thank you for taking the time out here to talk to us. And thank you. I love talking to you. It's so much fun. Obviously, we've known you for a long time. You're a great friend. And every time I talk to you, it is just a great time. So thank you so much for coming on here. Thank you so much for getting me into this podcast, for helping me start it out. I definitely would not be here today on this podcast without you. And yeah, so thank you so much for everything.
Awesome. Yeah, that's quite generous of you. I appreciate you guys having me on, and God bless all of you, and we'll see you here shortly, okay?
Yeah, and thank you again for your support with CF, like my dad mentioned. And I can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks. We will definitely have some fun, maybe play some games, eat some gator, and have some tenderloins. It'll be a blast. Can't wait.
Thank you so much, Jay.
Let's do it.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks,
care, guys.
Jay.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye. All right, like I said, I love talking to Jay. He is a longtime friend. He is such a sweet, genuine person. I love spending time with him, love having phone calls with him, and just sharing stories. It is so much fun. And I can't wait to see him in a couple weeks when he comes down here. But thank you guys for listening. Please leave a review and contact me if you want to hear anything, want me to talk to anybody else.
And subscribe.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yes.
Subscribe to the podcast so it'll help other people find you and
Yeah.
and help spread the word.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening because, life is short, and so am I, and I'm just trying to make the most out of every day, and I hope that you guys do too. I hope you all have a great journey and you make it an epic one.